Commission. There we go. Before we start, just a couple of quick things. This meeting's being held virtual as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You're hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Scituate in accordance with that open meeting law. And also, the town of Scituate Conservation Commission is committed to providing an environment of respect during our meetings. We ask all members to interact in a polite manner, even when there's disagreement. We value the participation of our community and want all participants, including marginalized and minoritized communities, to feel welcome and respected. We ask our committee members and all that participate to commit to these standards and support and respect our community. In addition to that, during the meeting, we hope that we have people be mindful that there are several meetings this evening. So if you have comments and questions, that we try to limit those to so the minimum and make sure that we don't repeat those. If they've been answered or there's already that question's been raised, there's really no need to be redundant, and would help us move through more of the meetings. So that said, we have an agenda, and are there any additions or omissions, changes to the agenda?
I don't think so.
Just so folks know, 1820 Country Ways is requested continuance till September. We'll read that at the time of the hearing. Is that the only one being continued?
No, there's two more.
Okay, what are the other?
Stockbridge Road to September 21st and 107 Glades Road to September 9th.
So just
First two. Yeah.
If you happen to be here for those, so Stockbridge, 165 Stockbridge is requesting a continuance, and 107 Glades is. So if you're waiting for those, they're not going to be held, but we'll move right into some of those right now. Any other additions, omissions to the agenda?
No.
Okay. Excuse me.
So I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as written.
That'd be great.
I'll second that.
Is that Eric or Brendan?
It was Brendan.
Brendan
Or Eric, maybe. I don't know.
It was you,
Good enough.
Brendan.
It was quick. So all in favor? Eric?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. Thank you. Okay. So 165 Stockbridge, we've opened that, and the applicant is requesting a continuance to September 21st.
Yes. I make a motion to continue 165 Stockbridge Road to September 21st.
That's a motion by Penny. Second?
I'll second that.
That's all. Brendan? Eric?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. Okay, thank you. 107 Glades Road. They're requesting also to be continued to September 9th.
I make a motion we continue 107 Glades Road to September 9th.
Okay, that's a motion from Penny. Second?
I will second that.
From
Second from Brendan.
All in favor? Eric?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. Great, thank you. All right, 102 Humrock Beach.
Septic.
Do I have to open that one? I do. So on August 17th, 6 p.m., the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700, excuse me, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws, for a notice of intent filed by Scott Peterson for the installation of a septic system within a wetlands resource located at 102 Humrock Beach. Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the meetings available on the agenda posted on the website. And we have someone from.
Yeah,
I believe-
can everyone hear me?
We got you.
Great. Dylan Brady with Brady Consulting. Here to represent the applicant and owner, Scott Peterson, at 102 Humrock Beach. 102 Humrock Beach, the project proposed is a septic repair. The existing system is a cesspool coming out of the front of the house. The existing additions are basically the house and then coastal dune. The parking area is in the front, which is sand. We're proposing to remove the existing cesspool and install a 1,500-gallon septic tank along with a concrete leaching galley system in the front. The entire area, like I said, is within Barrier Beach, coastal dune, and land subject to coastal storm flowage, as most of Humrock is. We located it as far away from the coastal bank, which is the seawall in the rear of the property. We were already heard by Board of Health last week, and we were approved on conditions that we would be approved by Conservation. And again, this is a septic repair, so this is not an increase of flow or use. And just with that, I'll turn it over to the board with any questions you may have about the project.
Thank you. Jen Smith?
We did not have any comments from DEP. Board of Health confirmed they were good with the plan. I would say maybe some sort of limit of work between them and the neighbor, but otherwise, I think we're good with. I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Start with Penny.
Yeah, no, I don't have any questions. It looks good, and it looks like there's about 10 feet between the property line, Jen.
Okay.
So that should be enough, and they can come in on the other side to do it, the existing parking area. No, it looks good, and it's necessary out there, that's for sure. Thank you, Frank.
Okay, thanks, Penny. Brendan?
Yeah, I have no questions on this. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Eric?
Yeah, I think I'm good too, Frank. Thank you.
Roger?
No questions from me. Thank you.
Robbie?
Thanks, Frank. I had one question. This appears to be a typical leaching field. I was curious if the applicant's representative could explain kind of the excavation and disturbance impacts of this system compared to, say, a geomat system. Would this be greater or equal or less?
Yeah, so the geomass system would be a smaller footprint. However, because the older parks here, geosystem at is not H20 loading, so you wouldn't be able to drive on it. So we had to pick a system that was H20 loading, and the LC6 chamber is the smallest footprint, which provides that.
Great, thank you. No further questions.
Thanks. Do we have anybody in the audience for this one?
I don't see any hands raised, and there is some vegetation on the south side of where the work is occurring. They actually have that noted on a plan that I have that was emailed recently. Just said that's been said.
So it'll be revegetated, Jen? Or
No, I think it won't be disturbed.
okay. The only thing I didn't notice here is any erosion control.
Yeah, we can certainly install a silt sock around the property line.
I think given where it is and proximity, that it probably should have something. I know it's a little redundant, but is that all gravel that's there now? Do you know?
It's sand. It's coastal dune sand. So no, a silt sock would actually we're amenable to that. Just wrapping it around, we can connect it with the deck.
Okay. So basically go around the system and be open so you can get equipment in and out. Okay.
Right.
Okay. I think that's it for me. And we asked anybody in the audience, right? No.
Yeah. Frank?
Yes, Frank.
Yes, just one thing, Jen, could you put in the orders if the vegetation does get hurt, destroyed, that they will replace it if need be on the south side?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I wanted. Thank you. So you
Okay.
want me to make a motion? I make a motion to close an issue.
It's a motion from Penny. Do we have a second?
Second for Brendan.
From Brendan. All in favor? Eric?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. Thank you. Okay, 1820 Country Way, and that they've asked to be continued to September 9th.
Yep, I'll make a motion to continue 18 and 20 Country Way to September 9th.
From Penny, second.
A second from Brendan.
All in favor? Eric?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. Great, thank you.
I would like to say one little thing, Frank.
Yeah.
I do believe this is like the third or fourth time they've continued, so I think we're getting close to where you need to show up with a plan.
I do think they've had a fair amount of back and forth with the planning board on this one, Penny. I don't think it's
Okay.
been
All
sit
right,
in the
so it
middle. I
isn't
think
their
that
fault. All right,
Yeah,
that's all.
that's I think maybe Jen wants to confirm it, but I'm pretty sure this one's been going around.
With them.
With
Okay,
Right. They've been working on it.
okay. I don't have a problem, and I didn't know if they were just stalling us. Thank
Yeah.
you.
No, yeah, I agree. If it gets pushed out too much, but okay, thanks, Penny.
Yeah.
So now we're on to 147. 147 Hamrock Beach Road on August 17th, 2026, 6 p.m. The Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Photo Bylaws for a notice of intent filed by Mark Reardon for the repair of an existing septic system within a wetlands resource area located at 147 Hamrock Beach Road, Hamrock Beach, Scituate. Butters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the meetings available on the agenda posts on the town website. So what do we have on that one?
This is Greg Morse.
Good evening, Greg.
Good evening. For the record, Greg Morse, registered engineer, Morse Engineering, representing the property owner, Mark Reardon. This is a notice of intent at 147 Hamrock Beach Road for a septic system repair project. The existing site, it's approximately 11,250 square feet. There's an existing 5-bedroom home. Looking at the plan here, Hamrock Beach, the Atlantic Ocean, is just off the top of the page. You see the existing home location there, and in front of the house itself, there's a gravel driveway. Under that gravel driveway, there's a failed cesspool. The proposal here is to replace that cesspool with a Title V compliant system. The new system is a 1,500-gallon septic tank, a distribution box, and a crushed stone leaching field. As part of that, we're relocating the water service to get 10 feet of separation between the water service and the septic system. The property, as you know, it's a barrier beach, coastal dune. We're not proposing any change in the ground surface. The topography there, post-construction, will match what it is today. This is entirely within land subject to coastal storm flowage. This is a velocity zone. It's a VE 15. For reference, the contours where we're doing the work are at approximately elevation 10. Again, this isn't new construction. We're not adding any flow. This is repair or replacement of a failed cesspool. I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Jen?
Yes, similar comments. DEP issued a number and they did not have any comments. Board of Health is okay with the plan. And I didn't have any other questions.
Okay. Let's see. Brendan?
Yeah, I don't have any questions for this.
Eric?
I think my only question is, as it relates to vegetation, it doesn't appear as if there's any vegetation being disturbed, but just to get clarity on that, Greg.
No, there isn't. It's under the existing gravel driveway in the front yard.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Roger?
No questions for me.
Robbie?
Are there any measures for erosion control or any stockpile on site expected?
No, we weren't anticipating any stockpiling of material at this site. There's probably a truckload of sand being taken out where the leaching field's going, and then it gets replaced with crushed stone for the leaching field. But there's no real stockpiling of material. No.
Will the water line be relocated first, I'm guessing?
Yeah, it's likely that would be the first step, and that's just a 1 day temporary trench. They dig the trench, put it in, and backfill it all in 1 day.
Mm-hmm. And then my concern would be leaving an open excavation and then having some kind of storm event affect it. So if it's not anticipated to be any open excavation for the water line and or the leaching field or the tank, I think I'm okay. Is there any silt fence or compost filter tubes proposed?
We hadn't proposed any, no. If if during the pre-construction, if the agent wants to discuss it with the contractor, we could certainly add one or have one on site if necessary. Again, where it's essentially pure sand, we don't anticipate that there would be a lot of runoff, even if there was a rainfall event. But we can certainly have a stockpile on site if necessary.
It appears like I see contour 10 and then 11, 12. So it looks like it's going, elevation is going towards Newport Street, or?
That's correct. It goes towards the bottom of the screen away from the ocean.
Okay, I'll leave it to the agent's discretion.
Right.
No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Penny?
I'm all set. It looks wonderful to me. New septic.
Okay. We have anybody in the audience?
I don't see any hands raised, and yes, we typically one of our conditions is to have erosion control around the limit of work. So we'll make sure that's in there.
Okay. That's it for me. So I'm good with it.
Then I'll make a motion to close an issue.
Motion from Penny, second.
Second from Brendan.
Thank you, Brendan. All in favor? Eric?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. Awesome. Number 2, Surfside. I have to open this one. I do. On August 17th, 2026, Situate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Mass General Laws and Section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws, for notice of intent filed by Stephen Perlman for the construction of an addition deck expansion within the wetlands resource located at 2 Surfside Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the meetings available on the agenda posted on the website.
Thank you. Again, for the record, Gregory Morse, registered engineer, representing the property owner, Steve Perlman. This is a notice of intent for his property at 2 Surfside Road, which is down in the Minot neighborhood. This property is at the corner of Gannett Road and Surfside Road. It's an 11,198 square foot lot. It's within land subject to coastal storm flowage. That is the only resource area at the site. For reference, the FEMA floodplain here is an AE zone at elevation 16. The topography on the site is generally at elevation 14. As you see on the plan here, the property was previously developed. There's a single family home. There's a driveway. It's connected to municipal water and sewer service. The proposal is to construct an addition to the single family home, and that's in a couple of parts. First, there's a second floor addition going over the house, over the existing footprint. And secondly, off the bottom of the page here at the southern end of the house, there's an addition of an additional garage bay being added. You'll note that we've realigned the driveway from Surfside Road to the front of that garage with a new paver driveway to access that third bay. Additionally, there's an existing deck between the house and Gannett Road. We're adding 2 portions to that deck. We're adding a small portion in the rear yard of the existing house, and we're adding a small portion along the front door of the house where there used to be a porch. That is supported on sonotubes. The addition and the house are being brought into FEMA compliance. The first floor here is already existing in compliance at elevation 17, but the home is being retrofitted with FEMA flood vents to bring it into compliance. Utilities are already elevated. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Jen?
Yes, no comments from DEP. It's land subject to coastal storm flowage. Some of the additional detail information that was requested was submitted. We did receive architectural drawings as well. At the moment, I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Eric?
The brick paver driveway itself, considered to be pervious, Greg?
Yes, it would be.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're not contending with any stormwater issues as it relates to impervious area on the site.
No, we did do a stormwater calculation on this. We're coming at a 12.4% increase. So well under the 25% that requires a stormwater permit.
Excellent. That's all I have for the moment, Frank.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Roger?
Sorry, I thought you were going to Brendan, but that's fine. No questions here. I like how they're continuing to make some of the updates to be a little bit more compliant. So no further questions or comments.
Okay. Robbie?
Thanks, Frank. So the new floor area will be all below the BFE?
It's all above the base flood elevation. The exception is the garage slab, which is allowed to be below base flood. because it's just considered dry storage. The habitable portion of the house, which is the first floor of the dwelling, is at elevation 17. So it's
Mhm.
1 foot above base flood elevation.
And forgive me, does the town require 2 feet above?
If this was a new build, it would be a full 2 feet. This is the existing home. So the existing home first floor elevation is already in compliance with FEMA.
Mm-hmm.
It just, the foundation is not, because it doesn't have flood vents. So we are adding flood vents to it to bring it into FEMA compliance.
Okay, thank you. And the utilities are already elevated?
Correct.
The gas line?
The gas line is subsurface under the ground. That doesn't have to be elevated.
Mhm. And then, is there any measures or mitigation to address the potential for tracking material onto the street? It looks like it's going to be a bit of a construction project.
Sure. So we've identified on the plan the contractor parking and the access, which is over the existing driveway, which is remaining, and then being expanded with the new paver driveway as well. So it's over the existing driveway surface. There's actually pretty limited excavation on this site. There's a couple of sonotubes for the deck expansion. And then where the new garage is going, that's just a frost wall. So essentially a 4 foot dig just around the perimeter of the third bay of the garage. It's not a full depth foundation excavation. So it is actually a rather limited excavation at this site.
Okay, thank you. No other questions for me right now.
Penny?
Brendan, my question, and it's just a simple one. There is not a roof on this deck, right, Greg? It's
Not
all
on the
open.
deck. It's open. Correct.
The new and the old.
Correct.
Thank you. That was my only question.
Brendan?
Yes. So the additional pervious paver driveway, is that the same pavers that are used in the brick paver driveway?
It's a yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do do we have an infiltration rate that it's pervious, or are we just
So let's see if we go down to brick pavers, the pavement. Yeah, what we're specifying under it, we have 12 inches of gravel, an inch of washed stone, and then bedding sand, and then the pavers on top of that. So we didn't provide an infiltration rate for it, simply because it's below the standards for a stormwater permit. Even if the driveway itself, even if the driveway wasn't considered pervious, it would still be below the thresholds for a stormwater permit.
okay? Right, thank you. That was my only question.
All right. Do we have anybody in the audience for this one? Go ahead, Jen.
No, I was gonna say I don't see any hands raised.
I don't know that I have any. So I think it was Robbie that raised the question about elevating to the 2 feet. And it's my understanding on these projects, if the building department deems the project to be less than 50%, the value of the renovation, addition, or whatever is less than 50% of the value of the existing structure, then the applicant's not required to elevate the house up. That other one, it dealt with this several years ago where there was a house that was just the 1 foot, or maybe they were at base flood. And because the value of the structure, the renovations didn't exceed 50% of the value of the structure, the building department didn't require them to elevate the building. If it was a substantial renovation where everything was getting rebuilt, then that could come into question whether it should be elevated the other foot. But it was sort of left up to the building department for their compliance with the FEMA regulation. Is how I recall that.
Okay.
So was that calculation made? Or does that?
It has to do with the building departments when they review the permit application, because they have to look at that for a number of things. If the house was more than 50%, then they'd have other code compliant issues as well, energy code issue, wind. It'd be a number of those things. So
it should be simple to confirm that with the building department, right?
Yep. I mean, Jen can check with the building on that.
We would certainly want it built to be compliant with FEMA building code at the time of construction.
I think if you check, Jen, with either Bob or Clark,
Mm-hmm.
you'll find that that's the answer, that the applicant typically gives a value of the renovations in relation to the value of the existing structure. Right. If you want to confirm that, that'd be great.
Yep.
That's exactly the case with this scenario here.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
I do want to just add that we typically condition silt sock, not a silt fence, as far as erosion control. I think there's a detail for a silt fence on the plan. And I can make a note to make regarding the construction and parking area and that being maintained to not have any silt or what have you leaving the site, just to keep the road clean.
That'd be great.
It just says erosion control, Jen.
We have a plan
Oh, okay.
July 29th, so just
Okay.
that mentions a detail for erosion control. That's silt fence.
Okay.
So Greg, if that could be switched to a silt sock, and we can put that in the orders.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
Um,
Can I make
All right.
a motion? I make a motion to close and issue, Jen,
Yes.
to Surfside.
motion from Penny, second
I'll second.
from Eric. Right? All in
Yes.
favor, Brendan
Yes.
and Roger,
Yes.
Robbie.
Were we going to determine the value of the renovation doesn't exceed 50% of the value of the?
I think we can put that in the orders
Yes.
or something to that effect.
Yes, we can put something in there. If it does trigger substantial compliance, they'll need to, I would say, come give us a revised plan.
Thank you. I vote yes.
Frank, yes. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, we are on to 430 Hadley Road. And we opened that, right? Already.
Yes.
So again, for the applicant, K&E Construction, Gregory Morse, registered engineer. This was opened previously. This is a notice of intent for a raise and rebuild of a single-family home at 430 Hatherley Road. Since the last meeting, we submitted some revised plans, both my office as well as Brad Holmes, our wetland scientist. And we made a couple of revisions. Those revisions that I'll point out here, we specified under the deck on the back of the house, which is an elevated deck, that it would just be crushed stone under that. It won't be patio surface. Secondly, we added a little bit of extra construction detail at the front of the property, identifying soil stockpile location, dumpster location, and contractor parking, which is in the front yard and over the existing driveway surface already at the site. And then thirdly, along the back of the property, which abuts Musquashkett Pond, what we've shaded on this plan is an area in green, which would become a planted mitigation area. That's area that has an existing lawn. It has existing timber and a fire pit area in it. Brad Holmes put together our wetland plantings for that. He had proposed 6 shrubs consisting of bayberry and groundsel shrubs, with additional northeast coastal salt tolerant grass mixes in that green area. We did leave a 3-foot wide pea stone path through the middle of that for access to the pond. The allure of being waterfront is being able to go and kayak on the pond or on the ocean if you're there. And that's the case here. We wanted to maintain a pathway there. Again, it's existing lawn surface with access to the pond today, but we are creating a buffer where none exists currently. We also have on the plan here those 3 black boxes identified. Those are conservation markers to prevent future encroachment into that buffer. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. Jen?
Yes, thank you for the revised plan. I think we would want to make sure, as we do with any mitigation area, that area, the intention is for it to become naturalized and not a maintained landscaped area. So good to have some demarcation up there as well. And the detail for below the deck, that area should remain something like crushed stone, grass, something pervious. We do have architecturals for this plan as well. I don't have any other comments at the moment. I probably have an erosion control question, but let me keep looking at the plan. I thought it was on here. And one other thing, because we're looking at a lot of plans tonight. I'm looking at the July 29th, 2026 plan. I think that's the most recent one.
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Where did I was kind of doing a snake here. Roger?
I guess one of the questions I have, and I'm looking at a view, is there any other buildings on this property that exist today that are being taken down?
There's a house on the property. There's also a shed in the backyard. The shed comes down as well.
The shed is coming down. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay. No, Frank, I think I just want to make sure that, if there are other sheds, are they planning on putting a shed back up at some point?
Not as part of this proposal, no.
Okay, perfect. That's all I got, Frank.
Okay. Sorry, my computer froze for a second, but Robbie?
Thanks, Frank. Is this a full foundation on this project?
It's a poured concrete foundation, yes.
Is it, I guess it's not the same footprint as the original's foundation.
No, it is larger in size.
So does
Jen,
it,
is there any way we can show the existing?
Yes.
So the existing is shown, it's a dashed gray line. If you zoom in to where the proposed house is going,
Mhm.
you can see that we've overlaid it.
So this puts more structure and more foundation closer to the resource area?
It does. It's outside of the 50-foot buffer zone, the foundation itself, but it is more structure inside of the 100-foot buffer.
And then it looks like the site slopes from Hatherley towards the pond, and I assume there's some erosion control measures to protect the pond area.
Yes, there's an erosion control around the entire limit of work.
No other questions for me, thank you.
Okay. Penny?
This is on the corner, right,
No,
Greg?
no, this is,
Well, it
if you're,
looks like it. Musquashkett.
so if you're going down Gannett Road and you get to Hatherley Road, you take a right
Yeah,
and you'll cross over the salt marsh, and Musquashkett Pond is on your left. This
right.
is either the second or third house on the left-hand side as you start going up the hill.
So it is on the bend there.
Well, it's
There's
not
a,
on the corner of the street, but it is on the bend in the
Yeah,
road.
no, that's all. I'm trying to visualize it in my
Yeah,
little
it's-
brain here. And now I can visualize it completely. I know exactly what we're getting rid of and gonna put a brand new house there. I really, that was my only question. I wanted to make sure I was in the right area. No, it looks good to me. Thank you.
Okay, Brendan?
Oh, yeah, I think I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, Eric?
Couple questions. I guess I'll start with just the limit of work, being the entire site. Um, Obviously, there's infrastructure that needs to be installed within the 50, including the discharge area as well as the trench for the piping to lead to that. Is there any other sort of filtration or I guess any filtration that will be done except outside of that riprap apron for the roof runoff discharge, Greg?
No, we weren't proposing any additional roof mitigation on this one. No.
And I apologize if I am not following entirely, but the detail on that discharge area, in terms of depth needing to be excavated for that, could you speak maybe a little bit more to that?
For the riprap discharge area?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a detail here that we put on the plan, and how that's done is it's based off of the volume of water coming off the roof itself. And so we've specified in this case here, based on the roof size with the 100-year storm event, that that riprap area has to be 8 feet long by 9 feet wide. And the depth of the stone is a minimum of 4 inches. So our detail shows that we actually are proposing 6 inches of crushed stone, but the actual dimensions of that pad, it's 8 feet long by 9 feet wide. That's based on the 100-year storm event for that roof area.
And in terms of any storm related flood waters, how would that intersect with that area as it's drawn?
Yep. So this entire site is in the FEMA flood zone. So during the 100-year storm event, while we would theoretically be discharging to that riprap area, the 100-year floodplain here is at elevation 12, which is over Hatherley Road. So this entire site would be underwater in the 100-year storm event. not displacing any flood waters because the entire site is land subject to coastal storm flowage.
And how would that floodwater impact sort of backflow towards the house? Is there any concern there that during that 100-year storm event, if you have storm water coming off the roof as it relates to water coming up from floodwaters? Just a curiosity, just looking at it and thinking about, how those two things will intersect with one another.
Yeah, so I mean, as you think about it, the water in Musquashkett Pond is going to come up in elevation, and as it comes up, it's creeping up onto this property, getting closer and closer to the house. At some point, as it's getting closer to the house, you're correct in the fact that the pipe from that discharge point back to the house would become underwater. When that happens, that pipe's not going to be discharging freely anymore. Water in the gutters would ultimately overtop and just land on the surface of the ground up closer to the house. Because the surface of the ground here is sloped toward the pond, that water is still going to go in the same direction and end up in the same location. It's not being diverted to an abutter's property or another down gradient resource. So the water is going to end up in the same location. I don't see it having an adverse effect on how that water flows. Certainly, we don't want to see Musquashkett Pond come up that high, but in the event that it did, this water wouldn't be a nuisance water or create any sort of adverse condition.
Thank you for that explanation, Greg. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Just a couple other quick things as it relates to the planting area. Jen kind of addressed this just as it relates to it not being manicured. I think my only comment on that is that the grasses between the proposed shrubs that are being installed not to be mowed. And then also the 3-foot pea stone footpath that is going to require some level of maintenance to keep weed free. So I think my only request on that would be, as is typical in our orders anyways, but no herbicide use for the management of potential weeds that pop up in that area.
Sure.
I think that is it for me. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Okay. We've gone through members, right? So do we have anybody in the audience for this one?
I see no hands raised.
Okay. Couple of quick ones. Just this path that's being proposed, not to see it creep or whatever, but it just seems like it would be maybe better served if it was just grass. I don't know. Brad has a plan for planting out that area, right?
Does. Yes.
And it's supposed to be vegetation. So just wondering why that just wouldn't be something that's grass, if they would just keep it rolled like the lawn, I guess.
I think the applicant would be fine if it was grass, as long as there's a kind of a maintained pathway there or an access way to get to the pond. Pea stone kind of served as it's a different color than the vegetation around it. It's a pervious surface. You have all sorts of stone around that pond. It seemed like it would be, good in this application. If the commission wants it to be a grass surface, we could certainly do kind of a turf grass, because I think what I just heard from a previous commissioner was that we want to let that vegetation go back to normal. So I wouldn't want to plant it with the same grass as the mitigation area. I do want it to stand out differently. Whether that's a turf grass or a pea stone, I'll leave that to the commission.
Do we do we have a plan from Brad for that area?
Yes, you do.
Yes, we have that.
And Eric, did you see that, or are we okay with that?
Yes,
Hey,
I've seen it.
Ted, what's your thought on the path, I guess?
I mean, ideally, there, I guess, would be no path, and have that whole area sort of return to a natural state. But, you know, I think if it's managed properly, um, and there's no creep, because I think that's something that we all can sort of agree on, that the creep, and as Jen pointed out, not it be having it become a managed space is really important for this mitigation area to function as we would like it to.
So I don't think that path was on the last plan. Do I remember that? I don't.
No, it was not on the last plan. We didn't have a mitigation planting area down there, so that was added and the path was left,
Okay.
or added, I guess.
So just thinking out loud again, this this sort of splash pad or whatever we're calling it, erosion control pad, it looks like it's half in a boulder, Greg.
Yes, there's a boulder down there already. There's a crushed stone area, there's a bench, there's landscape timbers and lawn. So we tried to kind of work in that existing area where there's already stone present, and that's where the pad's ending up.
Okay. And I think if the other members recall, if you look at what the existing plan, there was a shed that was in right against the wall in the back, and the applicant's removing that shed as part of this project. So that was sort of their rationale for small portion of the stairs and whatnot to be closer, that they'd remove the shed. I'm just thinking out loud of it. What we did ask for is mitigation in that area, not anticipating a path through it. Just wondering if that mitigation area could be larger, so it can encompass that tree and leave this pad where it is, but bring the mitigation area up to the front edge of that pad, as opposed to where it is now. That we sort of seem to get the same footage, roughly.
Yeah,
with
we
a
could
path.
certainly
Does that make-
bring it up to that tree. Yeah.
Do you see the logic in that? If that line were pulled another 6 feet forward or something, and then the path went through it, I guess I wouldn't have a big deal with the path if we still had sort of the net gain of the vegetated area. Does that make sense to anybody else?
Frank,
Yes.
I think it's very important for them to have a path. If we don't give them the path, you're going to have kids and people just traipsing through that area.
I think you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I don't oppose the path. What I'm saying is, because that's there, that takes away some of the square foot of the mitigation area. So all
Okay.
I'm saying is make the mitigation area larger.
Okay, I'm fine. Yeah.
I get the path. I'd want to have that if it was my property and get towards the pond. I'm just saying, let's make the mitigation area a little bit larger to compensate for removing that area. And anybody else, feel free to comment on that.
I think that makes sense, Frank.
And Greg, is a number of small pads, the generator, all those sort of things. Are those all that equipment's elevated though, right?
Yes, it is.
The
Yeah, it's
pad
elevated above floodplain.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the flood in that area?
elevation 12.
So the slabs for the lower area is also elevation 12, but then the first floor is going to be at elevation 22.
Correct.
Okay.
So the basement should be unfinished space, just storage.
Correct. It's unheated dry storage.
So, but they are putting the heating system and stuff down there. They're just elevating it just so that it's above the.
Correct.
So
Above floodplain.
It'll be at elevation 14 or something like that down in the basement. Okay. I think it should be really clear on the orders, Jen, about the underside of that deck, that kind of thing.
Okay.
That's it for me.
Okay. Would you like a motion, sir?
Sure.
I make a motion to close and issue.
Can we do that, Jen, with those changes? Are you?
With those changes, we're adding mitigation area, the area under the deck, everything being FEMA compliant at the time of construction. Mitigation area being naturalized, not manicured. I think those were, and then some of the other ones we have where, we're not enclosing under the deck, those types of conditions as well. And we wouldn't want further structure proposed in the 50-foot buffer.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Yep. So that was a motion from Penny, right?
Yes.
Do we have a second?
Second from Brendan.
All in favor, Eric,
Yes.
Roger,
Yes.
Robbie,
No.
okay, and Frank, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're on to 55 Rebecca. On August 17th, 2026, 6 p.m., the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws for notice of intent filed by Chris Kasha for the installation of a partially covered deck within wetland resource located at 55 Rebecca Road. Scituate abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the meetings available on the agenda posted on the website. We have an applicant.
Yes, we have Chris Karsha is here.
I'm here.
Good evening.
Good evening, folks. My show.
Yep.
The property located at 55 Rebecca Road, 5,723 square foot lot, lies in an AE 15 and a VE 16. Most of the house is in the AE. The deck is in the VE zone. We are proposing to construct a 14 by 30 deck with a roofed and screened area of about 10 by 11 feet. The project will start with the demolition of the existing 9 by 17 square foot deck, which had a roof over it extending approximately 9 feet off the house. The roof has already been removed due to severe deterioration and a partial collapse. All existing footings will be removed or cut at or below the existing grade. I think of particular notice on this lot is the fact that the entire area between the house and the foundation The house foundation in the seawall is finished with concrete and connects with concrete patios on both abutters' properties to each side. The new deck will run the full width of the house, eliminating the projection on the side yard on the right side of the building as viewed from the street. There'll be a 4-foot wide stair on the left end of the deck descending towards the front of the house. The deck will extend 14 feet off the rear of the house with a 14-foot wide stair on the back right corner descending to the left. The deck and stairs will be supported on helical piles, 6x6 posts, approximately 4 feet high. Construction will be conventional pressure-treated joist over beam with all code required hardware and fasteners to comply with the VE zone. Decking will be the composite PVC railings. There'll be a roofed area on the back right corner, basically where it is shown in the pictures now. We're going to stay with this in line with the side of the house, and it'll project about 10 feet off the back of the house, complying with all zoning setbacks. It'll be slightly larger than the original, but because the entire rear yard is covered in concrete, there won't be any change to the impervious area. That's what I have. Do you have any questions?
Okay, thank you, Chris. Jen?
Yes, I should have mentioned this previously. We do have a butter notifications. We don't have a DEP number yet for this. It's land subject to coastal storm flowage. We consider all this to be a coastal dune area. Just to kind of repeat a little bit about what was said, but the covered portion of the deck, I believe to be the area that's kind of its own rectangle towards the bottom. I think that's where it's currently covered, and then it'll continue to be covered, or a screen porch. And the entire site is within the Limois. In this area, the Limois line is in Rebecca Road. So, and if it wasn't mentioned, I believe the plan was helical piles.
Correct.
So those are my comments for now. I don't have any questions at the moment.
Okay. When did I start the last time? I guess, Robbie, do you want to start this one?
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
Will this plan be stamped by a PE?
By a building engineer?
Professional engineer, structural engineer? I want to ensure
Uh,
that
There's no need for it.
there's no need for it. Okay, if the applicant can demonstrate that there's no need for it, then I think that's fine.
It's standard construction, no engineered components, all within the building code.
Mhm. Did you calculate dead load and live load and uplift, or how deep are the helical piles?
The helical piles get set to the standard, more of a resistance standard than it is a depth. Although talking with the installer who just did one across the street, he said they probably expect to go down between 4 and 6 feet before they hit the correct resistance there. As far as the live loads, dead loads, those are standard set in the building code.
Mhm.
This deck will be built, above those standards.
Okay, my concern is I want to make sure that the deck stays on attached to the house. So if, the applicant can provide the calculations showing that they're within standard building code requirements, that would be great.
Okay. Are you good for the moment?
Yes, thank you.
Penny?
It's just I'm looking at this, and why did we ever let all that concrete go in down there years ago, Frank? You
I'm
know?
not sure we all approved it, but over the years it wound up there.
Yeah, it's so much concrete, and I'm not criticizing that. It has nothing really to do with the project. Um, no, I don't have, let me just understand this, Chris. The only part of the deck that will have the roof is the smaller section, or are you doing the whole?
I believe Josh has a screen saved and he highlighted that yellow area.
Yes.
That's the area that would be roofed. That's the area that's
Okay.
currently roofed now.
Okay. That's all. I wanted to make sure I understood that. No, okay. Thank you very much, Chris.
Okay.
Brendan?
Yeah, I don't have any questions on this.
Okay. Eric?
Good evening, Chris.
Evening.
I guess my question is related to the helical piles as it relates to the existing concrete slab. So you'll have to punch through that slab in order to get the helical piles in, correct?
Correct. Like I said, I spoke with the installer who was across the street. We'll be, cutting approximately 12 by 12 holes in the concrete where these footings are going, and then we'll refill those afterward, after the helical piles are set.
Yeah, that was my concern, is just like how, because we obviously don't want undercut to happen, in those locations that you've punched through. So when you say refill, you're meaning concrete back into
Correct.
that area and just releveling. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. And the stairs themselves, that'll just be a regular set of stairs, PT, you said?
PT framing, composite decking. Like I
Not
said,
retractable though.
no retractable or anything like that. The height, the deck itself is only about 4 feet off the ground, so there'll be maybe 5 risers.
Okay. Both sets of stairs, the one on the ocean side and the one on the side of the house, on the left as you're on the
Correct.
street.
Correct. The concrete's fairly level across the back there. The one towards the left side of the deck there may have a couple more risers.
And the last thing, it doesn't show on your section, so I'm assuming the answer is no, but just to clarify, there's no lattice or any other sort of obstruction underneath the deck surface down to existing grade, correct?
Correct. No lattice, no wrap, no anything like that. Wide open.
All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Roger?
Yeah, just a couple quick questions. Kind of continuing what Penny was. Can you explain to me, I see the concrete on the what I'm guessing is the north side of or the northwest side of the structure, but then I see a platform on the oceanfront side. Are those all connected?
It's all so the entire concrete surface was one layer, and then they had what the homeowner called a stage. So they built up a concrete platform approximately 16 inches tall in that square there.
Okay. Okay. And okay. And then I'm just wondering but they're all attached. It's all one continuous slab from the left side of the house all the way around to the right where the gravel starts.
Exactly. And like
Okay.
I said, it connects to the houses on either side, to tell you the truth.
Oh, okay. I was hoping to hear it was standalone platform, and then I would ask the question about, does it make sense to have that, taken care of as they're trying to make some additional changes to it. But I think you answered my question. Thank you.
That platform has actually been removed to make it flatter in that area. It was deteriorating to the point of collapse. So
okay.
we've actually removed that, and there's actually exposed original patio below that. Not exactly the highest quality foundation for a platform, I would say.
All right. All right. No, thank you for responding.
Okay. Have we made it through everybody?
Yes.
I think so. Do we have anybody in the audience for this one?
I don't see any hands raised.
Okay. Looking at the photos, I don't know if any of you guys don't have.
Sorry, there is a hand raised. Fred and Linda.
Fred and Linda are the homeowners.
Yeah. They
I
raised their hand.
I just unmuted Fred and Linda. It might need to unmute on their end also.
No,
Yes, we're just telling you we're here.
when you said misinterpretation. Yes, that's all.
That's all.
Sorry.
All
Okay.
right. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So maybe some of you don't have the benefit that I have of some additional photos showing what's already existing in a deteriorated state. So there is quite a bit of structure here that's being removed. And then I think, Chris, how much larger was this than what's existing? I think it says it in your narrative, but
So the existing is about 9 feet wide. If you have the photographs, we're going to stretch across the entire back of the house with the deck and generally maintain the same size roof area. And again, referring to the photographs, there's a dormer, second floor dormer above the roof area. We're gonna put the roof under that dormer, extending about 10 feet off the back of the house.
okay. Say that with all the concrete below, would it benefit anything if you're cutting a bunch of these holes to let put the helical piles in, to just leave them uncemented when you're done?
I think looking at some of the existing conditions underneath that deck is some of what I would say is the original concrete. And going to what Eric was saying, there's washout underneath that. I would probably refrain from. I would definitely want to cap these holes after we dig them to prevent any kind of washout, either from flood or from rain.
All right. I guess that's about it. To Robbie's comment on an engineer, built a number of decks as well, typically following the building code requirements. I guess it is good to know that everything is secure. I again would defer to the building department. I mean, we kind of approved the project, knowing that it's supposed to be FEMA compliant and whatnot, and then leave it to the building department to confirm that it meets the building code portion of that, would be my thought on that. But maybe Jen could put that as part of the orders, that the building department is accepting these plans.
Well, I would also suggest we don't close, since we don't have a DEP number.
All right. So maybe you could get just a comment or something, Chris, whatever, or Jen, you can just confirm that they're good. But I mean, I've built plenty of decks without stamp. I mean, it is in a flood zone, so we need to make sure that it's compliant.
It's in a velocity zone, isn't it?
Say that again, Ron?
Is it in a velocity zone?
Yes,
Is it in velocity or Limois?
it's in the velocity zone. It's
Oh,
within all of it.
okay.
How have we dealt with the velocity zone decks in Minot? Because I thought that there was one property that we had looked at in the past that there was something about how the deck was attached or not attached because part of the property was in velocity and the other was not. I'm not sure. Jen, do you happen to remember that?
Yes, in that case, it was a raised rebuild, so the house was new as well. And
Right. Okay.
so it was we had a few things going on as far as the level of compliance that it was hitting.
Right. Different situation.
Right.
Yes.
I had rolled around the idea of not doing a detached deck, doing the helical piles fully supporting. But then you get into the roof that's connected, that has to be connected to the house, just, to make it, watertight. It sort of negates that, detachment. Then you get into the cost of, the helical piles themselves versus just attaching it to the structure. And the structure that it's being attached to is actually a what used to be a concrete patio, and there's a concrete foundation underneath it. We dug to find the footing of that concrete patio or foundation that we're attaching to. We got down to a little more than 5 feet and never got to the footing. So it's a pretty deep foundation right there. And then the connection to that would be, whether it's bolts or sleeves or whatever.
Right.
So that's something, I'll toss back and forth with Clark and Bob and see what their thoughts are on it.
Okay.
I guess, Jen, if you could run that with the building department, that would satisfy me with that. I get the concern. So, if it was a new house, we'd have an architect or engineer with both. Now it's a renovation.
Of a deck.
Right. So maybe you could check that, run that through the building department. And how soon would we have a number, do you think?
I would assume by the next meeting. I mean,
So-
it's on the list. It just hasn't gotten a number.
So we want to continue this.
To the 31st? Jen?
We can continue this one to the 31st.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to continue Rebecca Road to the 31st of August.
That's a motion from Penny, second.
I'll second.
That's from Eric. All in favor, Brendan,
Yes.
Roger,
Yes.
Robbie,
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Okay. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much.
11 Conroy Terrace. Did we open this?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
we
opened
did.
it but we haven't discussed it.
Okay. And do we have somebody on for this?
Yes, we have John Zimmer is here.
Okay.
Okay, all set?
Yep. Good evening.
Hi. Good evening. John Zimmer with South River Environmental on behalf of Mary Alice Loring, who is the owner and applicant for 11 Conroy Terrace. This is actually a proposal that was reviewed and approved by the commission back in 2014 under an RDA, basically to control invasive species within the property, predominantly Phragmites. So that determination of applicability, which was a negative, has obviously expired. So Ms. Loring is looking to do basically the same exact thing as she did previously, but we decided to file it under a notice of intent so that it could be conducted in perpetuity, so she wouldn't have to keep coming back to the commission every 3 years for the same activities. She's also in the process of, I believe, moving the property to her daughter, so she wanted to have that in perpetuity so that her daughter could continue to work afterwards. The property itself is located entirely within land subject to coastal storm flowage. There's also a salt marsh that is just off property to the west. And then the areas that I've identified on the site plan in the dashed line, right now that those areas are currently unmaintained. They're not mowed. They're not maintained as lawn. They're just allowed to be kind of an open meadow area. And there is Phragmites that is creeping in from the west. So that entire salt marsh bank, after it comes up from the salt marsh, is entirely Phragmites. And there's also a population of Phragmites that's coming in from the north as well. So through the previous activities of controlling it, it's not taking over those areas that are kind of identified in the black hatch there. So what we're looking to do is basically hand removal of Phragmites of the plants, hand cutting, bagging, and taking them off property. If the commission is amenable to it, we would also propose hand swabs or individual treatments of Phragmites stems. As the commission may know, the Phragmites, tends to propagate, subsurface through the rhizomes. So the best way to actually control it is through herbicide application. You can control it to some degree through the physical cutting, but the preference would be for an allowance to do that limited herbicide application by a licensed professional with, obviously all the information provided to the commission prior to conducting any of that. That is pretty much it in a nutshell. The areas right now are fully vegetated, and I was out there a week or so ago, and there is Phragmites that's coming up in both of those areas to the north and south, but there's also a good amount of milkweed and Joe Pyeweed and other good pollinator species that are out there. So the hope is that we can move forward with some of this invasive control to maintain those populations of the native plants that are really beneficial for pollinators and for wildlife. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
Okay, thank you. Jen?
Yes, we do have, abutters were notified. I did receive some calls from some abutters, so I know that they were, they received that. We have a DEP number. I do think we typically get a bit more information about the delineation. I know we have some salt marsh, but some information about any bordering vegetated wetland. It'd be nice if we had on this plan exactly where they want to do this management. Is it the entire property, or is there certain area? Are we saving any of the trees that are on there? I just get
Right.
more on the plan is helpful.
Right. So there really aren't. I mean, there's no tree removal at all. It is specifically limited to Phragmites and potentially purple loosestrife. The area to be controlled is demarcated by the black hatch or the black outline. So it's the areas to the north and to the south of the maintained lawn. There are no invasives in the actual lawn itself. No removal of any other types of vegetation. So it's basically just limited to the invasive species.
And
I also did look through the area for BVW within the property and looked at the soils. Obviously per the bylaw, if there's 50% or more dominance by hydrophytic vegetation. It's presumed to be a wetland. And it's presumed that the area is then inundated or saturated. So the areas that I looked at in had about 50% wetland vegetation. So I did look at the soils, and the soils did not have evidence of either inundation or saturation. They were not hydric soils. So I did not identify any BVWs or IVWs in the area. With respect to BVWs, aside from the water body to the west, I don't know that there are any, streams off property that would create a bordering situation out there.
All right. Do you want us to keep going for right now, Jen?
Yes, and also I know there was some suggested plants to put in there, but usually we kind of see that on the plan. And I think that's all for now.
All right. Back to Penny.
Back to Penny. Okay. I went to school with Mary Alice. And anyways, I know the area where you're talking about here. And anything to try and control Phragmites, have at it. Phragmites, I don't know who brought it to us, but it is a nightmare. And it's just unfortunate. I don't have any questions for him. Moving on, Frank.
Okay, Brendan.
Yeah, I don't have any additional questions about this.
Okay. Eric.
So just to be clear, as I'm looking at the plan, it is all of the areas marked with that hashed line heading towards the property bounds to the northwest and to the south, correct, John?
Correct. Yeah, I just want to so you're aware, those areas are not entirely colonized with Phragmites. It is along the western property line and the northern property line. Other than that, there are small clumps of it that are growing within. So it would be basically selective treatment throughout the majority of the areas, with a little bit more intense along the northern and western property bounds.
And I guess I appreciate and encourage the removal of any and all invasive species whenever necessary. Given that this is an NOI and you're seeking this activity to be permitted, in the future as well, I guess my concern is the use of this remediated space moving forward on top of the removal. So I know that in the narrative you have identified as necessary the installation of some native plantings, the Juniperus virginiana, the Rosa virginiana, and the Myrica pennsylvanica. But I think I would like to know more about quantity and location of the proposed installations of these materials. And I think I would definitely want to ensure that we're not remediating Phragmites for potential future turfgrass area expansion, because that would definitely be a concern as we move closer to that salt marsh area. So I think those are two things off the top that sort of jump out at me, given that this is an NOI. That planting schedule certainly would be helpful.
Sure, understood. As of right now, I don't know the exact extent. I mean, I could guesstimate on the site plan where those areas would be. what I would prefer to do if the commission is amenable to it is after the initial treatment, provide the commission with a planting plan with a better schematic, that identifies the square footage in the areas for, review and approval before implementation. Right now I could kind of sketch something up, but that may not be the exact amount or square footage of plantings that may be required. And, honestly, we may modify the plant list because of the fact that the area is populated right now with a lot of herbaceous pollinator plants. And I think we'd like to continue to promote that out there. So if the commission would afford the flexibility as a condition, to provide you with a planting plan for review and approval before implementation, that would be great. And then for future activities, the whole property is subject to the commission's jurisdiction since it's all in coastal floodplain. Anything that would be proposed in the future would have to come before you if they ever decided to want to expand the lawn area or do anything within your jurisdiction.
I understand that that's the protocol, but understand from our perspective the amount of times that doesn't happen. So I understand that you're coming to us now, which is great and important, but once the activity of removal within these areas has been completed, it is easy for creep to occur. So I said that as a statement of an overabundance of caution, because we see things happen that shouldn't happen after things happen that should, if you catch my drift.
Absolutely. And what I would encourage is a condition that specifies that there'll be no lawn expansion, so that it's very clear. So if that does happen, for some reason in the future, that provides you with a better enforcement mechanism as well.
And I think the other question I have as it relates to the amount of square footage that is being remediated, I know that it's not comprehensive, but to the areas that are identified on the plan that was submitted, but a ballpark square footage amount for each of those two sections would help provide some context as well, I think.
Okay. I could update and put some square footages on the plan if that would be helpful.
I think so. And as long as there isn't any other resource area, as Jen pointed out, that would also be just another general concern with this or any other project that we're reviewing, to ensure that moving forward, we're understanding that there is no BVW or IVW. And if that is in fact the case, that's fine, but just wanting to state, for the record as well. But other than that, that's all I have for right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Roger?
No additional questions. I think what Jen and Eric brought up I'd like to see some of those things be presented as well.
Okay. Robbie?
Thanks, Frank. I think we're being asked to approve a line demarcation in perpetuity for removal of the Phragmites. How do we determine that line in the field? That's what I don't understand.
Well, Jen, you can jump in on this. If we haven't had this line reviewed, we're not going to accept that line as, if this were a construction project or something like that, we would have a review person out here to look at that. Not sure that this project rises to that level, so I don't think what we wouldn't do is accept that line. Jen, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Or weigh in on that.
I mean, I certainly wouldn't accept this line. I don't think we have enough information to accept it. And I don't want to be held to there not being wetland off-site, just because we don't see a buffer line on this property. Because I think it's pretty well documented that there's bordering vegetated wetland heading north of this site. It's also pretty coastal. I guess we're like the southeast part of it. That section between the house and Edward Foster, um, that might be an area where you would want more dune vegetation to come in. It, it, it I wouldn't mind seeing a bit more targeted area um, especially on that side between the house and Edward Foster. Is the whole thing going to be mowed, or just saving a couple trees, or um, I was looking at the previous RDA, and it was maybe only half of that part was what was shown to be the area to have invasive management on it. But yes, we would want something specific in the field flagged before anything began, so we know where the property line is and we know where the work is going to occur. Yeah, marked on the site for where the work would occur.
I'll add that, I'm all for this project. I just don't know how you come back in 2 or 3 years to re-mitigate it and then know where to stop and that kind of thing. Like, I don't know how you would do that.
So, I mean, one of the things we could potentially do is install cedar posts along the limits of the areas to be maintained. Obviously, we could with a marker that says, invasive management beyond this point or something to that effect. That could identify in the field where those areas are. In the event that the property changes hands, in the future.
That would definitely be an improvement over what we're looking at, I think.
Okay. Anybody else?
I mean, would this plan be recorded?
The order of conditions would be.
And could the plan be part of the order of conditions?
Yes.
Yeah, the plan of reference is incorporated into the order, so it would be there.
So that plus the cedar posts could provide some kind of framework around defining this dashed black line, in my opinion. That would work for me.
Yep, and on the revised plan, I could put a series of, approximate locations.
So, John, Robbie, have you got more questions?
No, thank you.
I just want to maybe clarify this. I'm sorry, we've had lots of discussion, but the two areas that you're proposing, when I'm looking at this colored plan, are the areas sort of in brown? So you've got the
correct.
So it's those areas, and it's the entire property.
Yeah, it was. I identified that to allow for flexibility because it's not a single cohesive patch of Phragmites. If that was the case, it would have been a lot easier to identify specifically where it is. Like I said, there are heavier patches to the north and along the western property boundary, but there are kind of individual stems that are starting to come up, or groups of stems that we just wanted to have the flexibility to be able to control before they became, a larger problem.
Sure. Does the line of the salt marsh and whatnot, I mean, there's been extensive studies and whatnot for dredging, things like that, that these lines sort of coincide with other information the town has for those areas? Do you know, John?
I don't know offhand. I went out and flagged the edge of the salt marsh. It's basically from the edge, it basically transitions to Phragmites pretty quickly and then goes upslope.
Okay.
So it should be fairly consistent with previous delineations.
So you're staying within the property, obviously.
Correct.
Applicant.
Yeah, there's nothing proposed outside the subject property.
And there's no way to sort of define the areas that are being treated, even sort of broad brush or
I can go back out there and then I can identify those areas where there are heavier populations, if that would be helpful.
I think that would be good. I mean, I understand that you'd want to treat wherever you have somebody out there doing it, certainly want to treat those other areas. Is there any way that you could give us even a word I want to use, like a preliminary revegetation or vegetation plan? I mean, you may come back in and say, hey, listen, I've done this work and it seems like we got to do some different things. But to start with, at least, again, just a sort of a basic or something to start with, just so that has a rough idea.
Sure. What I can do is after I go out and take a look and see where those patches, the heavier patches are, I can estimate the area of those and then provide, an initial revegetation plan that covers those areas. And then, if we need to supplement it down the road, we can work with Jen, with respect to any additional plantings that we might need to do or might want to do.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other comment or question?
I think just one other thing, Frank. John, in addition to the woody species, would introducing a grass or another, potentially equally aggressive type of herbaceous species, Ammophila, possibly to help combat the recolonization, because the Rosa virginianus certainly will, after a season or two, especially in that third season, will start creeping horizontally. Junipers will be a bit slower, and northern bayberry somewhere in between, just its response time. So just looking at something to sort of fill that gap in that first couple seasons. If you could maybe add something on that level too, in terms of species, that might be beneficial as well.
Yeah, we could look at that, and then a coastal seed mix as well might work. The problem that we're going to run into is getting that seed to go, because those areas, at least where the heavier predominance of frag is, once we get it down, unless we're excavating the root systems out and bringing in some organic soil, it's going to be tough. So I think that using woodier vegetation might be the better bet, but we can certainly incorporate both. It doesn't hurt to put those species down.
Right. And I don't know what your opinion is in terms of introducing plugs rather than a seed mix, just so then you actually have some root mass taking up some volume in that soil to sort of expedite that establishment period. Just thinking out loud in terms of ways to help sort of increase that resistance to recolonization.
Yeah. And I mean, we can absolutely look at that, and this will obviously be a bit of a work in progress. So, if we need to switch things up and be a little bit heavier on plugs to try to outcompete it, then we can certainly do that. There'll be multiple opportunities, and I'm sure monitoring built in to the order. So we'll kind of keep a running dialogue here as this moves forward.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. How much time, John, do you think you need?
I think if we go to the next hearing, I can get stuff likely back to Jen by Monday, if that's okay.
Jen?
Yes, I would need it at least a week before. There's a couple big topics on the next meeting, so just need plenty of time to review it and give it to the commission to review.
Okay. All right. Yeah, if we can go to the next hearing, and if for any reason I can't, then I'll just submit a continuous request.
Okay. Take a motion.
If I can unmute myself. I make a motion, we continue
Hold
11
on.
con.
Did you ask for any public? I don't want to cut the public off.
I thought I did, but I'm sorry, maybe I didn't. Do we have anybody in the audience for this one?
At the moment, I don't see any hands raised. I do want to say one of the abutters that called was very supportive of anything to be managing
Yeah.
the invasives in the area. So they weren't able to join tonight, but wanted to share that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks,
All
John.
right. I make a motion to continue 11 Conroy Terrace to August 31st.
So, motion from Penny, a second.
I'll second.
From Eric.
Got the voice.
All in favor, Brendan
Yes.
and Roger
Yes.
and Robbie.
Yes.
Frank, yes. Great. Thank you, John.
Thanks very much. Take care.
Oh,
Good night.
you too.
So now we're on to RDA's, 96 Stockbridge Road on August 17th, 6 p.m. The Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40, Massachusetts General Laws, Section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws, for an RDA filed by Pierre Cole for the demolition of a single-family dwelling within the buffer of wetlands resource located at 96 Stockbridge Road. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information, access, and meetings available on the website. And we have maybe Brad Holmes for this one.
Yes, good evening, members of the commission. Brad Holmes with East Star. Along with me this evening is Lee Bloom, a representative for the applicant. We filed a request for determination of applicability for the property at 90 and 96 Stockbridge Road. The commission is familiar with this property. We're underway with a notice of intent for a single-family home reconstruction project here. The need has come to remove the existing dilapidated home. There's been vandals and it's been an issue. And we may not have a permit to move forward with a larger project. We would like to get a determination in place that confirms with the commission that the removal and demolition of the home doesn't require the filing of a notice and can continue. And then obviously when we have permits to do the other project that's under review, we can proceed. But because there has been a need to remove the structure, I know that the commission has seen it's in rough shape. There's been recent vandalism and they've had to go back out and board up the building, and it just makes sense to remove it now so that to remove that hazard. The work does occur within the buffer zone. There is a bordering vegetative wetland that we've delineated and has been reviewed and under review. We are within the outer riverfront area. So the proposal is to install a erosion control line around the existing dwelling, remove the dwelling. Everything can be placed into trucks and dumpsters stationed on the driveway and brought off site. And then the foundation would be removed as well. So with that, I know the commission knows the site because we just spoke recently on it. I'll bring it back to the commission.
Thank you. Jen?
Yes. Good to have a limit of work on here. And understand that there is a need to get the demo of the house done. So appreciate you filing the RDA for that. I do believe it meets the requirements for a negative determination.
Okay. Who's that? Brendan?
I'm fine with it. I'm good. No
Okay.
question.
Eric?
As it relates to the removal of the foundation, are you bringing in fill to sort of regrade that area as well, Brad?
The proposal would be to fill the foundation hole with sand, top dress it with loam at the same elevation, and then seed it with just a simple conservation seed mix to get stability until the next project occurs.
Excellent. Thank you, Brad. That's my only question.
Okay. Roger? Jump to Robbie for a second.
Thanks, Frank. Am I misunderstanding it, or is the structure within the 200-foot riverfront area? And doesn't that require an NOI?
No, you are correctly understanding that it is within the riverfront. The northern portion of the building there is within the riverfront. You can work under request for determinations of applicability in resource areas and the buffer. It doesn't require a notice of intent if you're in a riverfront.
Okay, thank you. No other questions.
Um,
Jen, maybe you could confirm that from the town.
Yes, we are okay with a RDA for this one. Not necessarily accepting the delineation under the RDA, but the work for demoing it. And we're outside the 100 for the riverfront.
Yes.
But with the idea that we have this notice of intent that we are reviewing for further work.
Okay. Roger, are you there?
Yeah, I apologize. I had to step away, so I have no questions.
Okay. Penny?
I don't have any questions. It has to be done as quickly as possible before there's a fire in that house or somebody gets hurt. The kids are raising holy cane out there. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have anybody in the audience on this one?
I don't
Okay.
see any hands raised.
I don't have any questions or comments. We've been out there. This is just getting rid of a building that's become a hazard. So
Yeah.
good.
Can I make a motion
Sure.
for a -3?
The only thing, maybe, Brad, on this one, because of the area it's in, just keep Jen posted. I mean, typically we don't have the, on-site things like that with an RDA, but I think it would be good to keep the commission in the loop.
For sure. That's not a problem.
With what's going on there. Jen, you good with that?
Yes, that would be great.
Yep. And just to add, Penny, it's a -2 because it's riverfront.
Okay, that's what I'm looking for. I make a motion for a -2.
Okay. There's a motion from Penny with second.
I'll second. Eric?
So Eric's got a second. All in favor, Brendan?
Yes.
Sorry about the yawn. Roger?
I'm going to abstain because I didn't hear any of the
Okay.
deliberation.
Okay. Robbie?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Number 10, Village Lane. Do I have something to read? No.
You should let me know if you need me to
I
pull
got
something
the
up.
folder.
Hold on.
Shoot.
Um,
Yeah. I don't see anything. I'm just wondering if I can go back to one of the other ones and just add limit, Jen.
All right. Well, I can bring it over.
That's all right. Pitched a bunch of stuff. Sorry. Sorry about that. Thank you. On August 17th, 2026, 6 p.m., Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws, and Section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws, for request for determination filed by John Healy for the removal of diseased trees located at 10 Village Lane, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information access to meetings available on the agenda posted on the website. And do we have someone?
Yes, we have John Healy, the owner, on the line.
Great. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I am the owner of Village Lane, and we have a significant amount of trees that are contained in my backyard, which is within 100-foot zone from the back deck of my house. We had one tree that was damaged this winter, that we had a bogan tree and an arborist from bogan tree who had come out to look at one specific tree and recommended that all trees similar to this one, which are beech trees, be removed because they are having a disease and are essentially rotting out from the inside. We do have several oak trees on the property that will remain, that are in good condition. And any beech trees, you can sort of see in the picture kind of the depth of the backyard when you can kind of see the water in the blue, which is, the back of my house. Any trees that are either leaning, away from my house or my neighbor's properties, regardless of whether they're beech trees or not, will remain. The arborist essentially tagged the width of my backyard and then a depth of the backyard with trees that would be a danger to my house or to my neighbor's properties, that will be removed. And I'll open it up there.
Okay, thank you. Jen?
Yes, I think if we are able to scroll down a little bit more, you can see that there's a bit of area between the house and the marsh that's behind him. And I think you also had you had an opinion about the health of the trees. So we asked him to file an RDA, so we had a bit more discussion of what was happening and anything else that might be planted in the area, or what the plan is for the space where the trees are coming down.
Right.
Is that a question to me, Jen? I apologize.
A little bit of both, yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
We don't have any intent to do anything with the space when the trees are cut down. The arborist did say that they will not remove the stumps in order to ensure that we're not deterring from the land in any way. So the stumps will stay. And the oak trees and some of the other beech trees that, again, are not a danger to my property or to my neighbor's properties, those will stay as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Eric?
Yeah, I think I didn't happen to notice on Bogan Tree's estimate that was attached, but do you have a specific number of trees that are going to be removed?
I do not. I think what will likely happen is the company is going to determine whether or not they need to come down or not, kind of on site. I do know, I did look at what was the difference between a beech tree and an oak tree, and if I had to estimate, it's probably somewhere between 20 to 25.
So I guess I'm a little confused. So they've marked some, but they haven't marked all of them that are being removed.
Correct. So there's essentially a perimeter, both width and depth, where beech trees are marked. The arborist essentially said every beech tree will come out within that depth based upon the distance from the back of my deck, which you can see in that picture of where if it were to fall, and then on each side of my house. So there are some trees that are probably a danger to my his shed, and then there are some that are a danger to the fence that is alongside my neighbor and that separates our houses. And so trees that are any bit of danger if they were to fall each way and would danger either my property or their property would be removed. And it's beech trees only. And I kind of tried to count on my own. It's probably between 20 and 25.
Feels like a big number of trees being removed. If I'm just being honest, that's a lot. And I guess my second question, sort of correlated to the removal, is did they specify a method of removal? And if there was a diameter of tree within that marked area, that they would leave alone. So you say danger to the house. So, for example, if there was a sapling, a couple inches or slightly more than that, would they be leaving those, or those be clear cut too because they're beech?
No, correct. So if it was a sapling or anything that's, like you said, diameter wise, where if it were to fall, then it might, scratch the deck, but it's not going to put a hole in my roof, those will stay. And he did say the method, they will be like bringing equipment down through my driveway into that land. It'll likely be a crane. That's what but he did say, some of them that are much smaller, those are not a hazard to your home or to your neighbors' homes or property. And so those, they're not taking responsibility for those.
Okay. And final question, are you planning on doing any replanting of any tree species in that area, or are you leaving that alone once the beech trees of concern have been removed?
We have no intent to do anything replanting or otherwise, at least not at this time.
Okay. Thank you, John. And that's all I have for right now, Frank. Thank you.
Thank you. Roger?
No questions for me.
Robbie?
Thanks, Frank. It looks like the topography of the land, it slopes away from the back deck towards the marsh area. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Thanks. No other questions.
Okay. Penny?
No, if the trees are sick, they need to get out of there before somebody gets hurt. Thank you.
Okay. Brendan?
No, no questions. Thank you.
And do you have anybody in the audience?
I don't see any hands raised.
Okay. I'm good. So you want to?
A motion?
Yeah, it's just a three.
Negative.
Yeah, and maybe can you let me know when the trees are flagged and I can take a quick look before they come down, just to make sure we're not in the wetland or too close to it.
Sure. So Jen, like if you like, do you want me to have Bogan like tag all of them and I can send you like photos? Is that?
Yeah, and let me know when they're tagged and I'll come take a look.
Great. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion from Penny.
Yeah.
We have a second.
Second from Eric.
Okay, all in favor, Brendan?
Yes.
And Roger?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. Great. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Okay, we've wrapped up our hearings. Jen, you want to go through these administrative items?
Yes, it'd be great if we could jump to Rebecca. I think Morse Engineering is on the call to help us with that one.
What?
to Rebecca, and I'm working on bringing up an image. That was the house on the corner of Rebecca and Lighthouse, and they had installed pavers on site and done some other work after the certificate of compliance was closed out. So we sent him notification, and he got in contact with Morse Engineering to come up with a proposal for addressing it. And I'm working on how to share my screen at the moment. Hold on. And I'll try to zoom in a bit, but hopefully you see Rebecca Road and Lighthouse.
Yeah.
And actually, let me try to undo Morse if he would like to speak to it also, what the update is.
Great, thanks. This is Greg Morse representing the property owner, Paul Tyrell, who's also on the call with us tonight. As was just explained, this was an enforcement that was issued on the property to Rebecca Road. This was a new house that was built in the last 2 years. A certificate of compliance was issued on the house itself. But then after the occupancy of the house, there was landscaping performed on the site. The landscaping, essentially, they took under the house and adjacent to the roads and put down a paver across the property. And then at the intersection of Rebecca Road and Lighthouse Road, at that island, if you will, or that centerpiece, there was some loam and seed and some cobblestones placed along the edge of the road. That resulted in an enforcement being issued. And in response to that, Morse Engineering, we've been watching the site over the past winter, how it's been performing. And we put together a letter, and we put together this sketch of what the property owner would like to do, hopefully to remedy the situation out there. It's unfortunate that this is, an after the fact thing. The homeowner thought they were done with the project and thought that this was landscaping. They've appeared before the commission, not just for this home project, but other permitting projects at this property and other properties that they own, and they didn't realize that they needed a permit for this work.
Yeah.
That being said, what we have here, we're in land subject to coastal storm flowage and barrier beach out at Lighthouse Point. This is kind of a unique site. This is not a barrier beach that's moving or a pristine resource in any sense of the matter, but it is really an altered resource. And the barrier beach function here is non-existent. I think it is important to have some sort of driveway at this location off the edge of Rebecca Road and Lighthouse Road. And so what this plan depicts is highlighted in orange are pavers that are at the site that we would like to leave in place. Those pavers provide an opportunity on both of those streets to get a car off the road and to drive under the house. The house is elevated up on pilings pretty significantly. So we would be leaving the pavers in place that are highlighted in orange. The area that's hatched with the red striping, that's pavers that exist today that the owner would be removing. It's approximately 726 square feet of area. They would remove it and just put down a 1 to 2 inch rounded stone surface, 100% pervious stone surface in those areas. And then regarding the curb line at the intersection of Rebecca Road and Lighthouse Road, there were some cobblestones placed along the back of what appeared to be an existing concrete curb at that intersection. And what I've shaded here in green is an area that was loamed and seeded. It's grass if you go out there today, and I think there's some ornamental grass landscape in that area as well. I think it's interesting to note there used to be a curb at that intersection, but over the years, the town of Scituate has maintained Rebecca Road, they've maintained Lighthouse Road, and they've repaved it several times. that curbstone barely sticks up out of the ground because it has not been raised when they've been repaving the street. So every time the street gets repaved, that curbstone loses some of its height. These cobblestones effectively replace that curbstone. Uh, we've watched this throughout the winter. We've watched this through several storm events. We've watched as silt has gone out into Lighthouse Road and continuously is swept up with street sweepers or moved back onto private properties. This is not a receding barrier beach, as the regulations typically would have us leave the entire site as pervious so that a barrier beach can move landward. This site here is surrounded by developed properties. It's surrounded by asphalt with the streets essentially. So I think this is kind of a best case scenario of working with what's out there, removing some of the pavers, but leaving enough pavers so that you can get a driveway for a car off of either street. That's a public safety issue. Also, it allows stormwater on Rebecca Road and Lighthouse Road to continue on its flow path. I think it's important to have some sort of paved apron at the edge of the road for protection of the roadway itself and protection of the utilities that are under that roadway. But this is our proposal on how to address that enforcement action, and we look forward to working with the commission to get this resolved. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Greg. Jen, do you want to start first?
Sure. I guess I just want to add that this is a unique site. So, I agree with the delineation comments that we had for the area. And it certainly, this part of Scituate does get hit with storms and has significant storm action, but it is a very unique site given that it's a corner lot on Rebecca and Lighthouse, and has pretty much two homes kind of immediately behind it. So it's not your traditional rectangle by any means. It doesn't have some extensive backyard. So anyway, so having said that, I can appreciate having some sort of apron and definition for the aspect of just using the property. Anyway, that's all I have for now. They had presented this, loosely presented the idea to me a while ago, and it's just taken a bit to have some time on the agenda to bring it to the commission.
Sure. Where do I want to start? Guess last time, Brendan? Want to comment on that?
Can I hold, please, for
Sure.
now, I guess? Thanks.
Yeah. Eric?
So yeah, I think that it's good that the applicant has come back to us with a plan to sort of address the issues that were pointed out during enforcement. I would say to start, the cobblestone edging, my concern with that would be just the diversion of floodwaters. And it is at a low point. That stretch there, that neck, does receive floodwater from both sides. So it is kind of a pinch point location at that intersection of Rebecca and Lighthouse Road. So that would be my concern with that cobble remaining. I do tend to lean towards in agreement with Jen and Greg, your perspective on the apron to sort of define the entry and exits from the site to Rebecca and Lighthouse Road. I guess I do question the need for those pavers to remain under the house. I think that would be my point of pushback there. I think I'll leave it there for the moment. Thank
Okay.
you.
Roger?
Yeah, I have the same thought that Eric did about, like, I'm not understanding why, and if you said this earlier and I missed it, why do the pavers need to remain that the yellow stretch under the house? That's one question I have. And then I guess I did hear something about places to park or whatnot. I'm not sure why the pavers on the left side and the right side. How did you guys come up with the need for those? I'm just trying to get my head wrapped around, what's being proposed here and the logic behind it.
Greg, do you want to address that?
Sure. I don't know if there's any photographs of the site that you have, Jen, from when we met earlier, or if any of the commissioners have been out there, but this area it's really a sea of asphalt. And I'll address both things here. The first one, I guess, the pavers under the house. The desire is to get it so you can park on the property, get the cars off of the right of way, and park on the property. Before this house was elevated.
Hey, Greg, can I just ask you a question on that one? To park, like, what does that strip do from a parking perspective? Is it as wide as a car?
So between the piles that elevate the house, there's a little over 10 feet of width between those piles, so you can park a car between them. And so this allows two cars essentially to park under the house and physically on the property, is what it does on a hardened surface.
So that's they're leaving that they've designated that stuff underneath the house as a parking spot driveway. So
that's correct.
So that's probably 10 feet wide, you said?
Yes. Yeah.
And then
between.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, it's between the pilings, and it's approximately 10 feet wide, so it allows you to park a car on a hardened surface instead of a soft surface.
And do they enter from both sides? Is that why they need them on the left side and the right side of this image?
So most vehicular traffic is off of Lighthouse Road. However, Lighthouse Road, you have to go all the way down and around Rebecca Road ultimately to leave the site because it's a one-way street. They do access the site from Rebecca Road as well. And certainly there are walkers or pedestrian traffic onto the site or by the site in both cases. So just leaving a bare edge of pavement along either of those streets felt that we would be leaving the pavement susceptible to water getting under it during storm events. There's utilities right there under the pavement, gas, water, and electric, that we don't want erosion to cause any sort of gullying or issues. So doing the aprons on both sides seem more of a protective matter, to be honest with you, for both streets versus a physical parking location. The parking would be under the house. The edge of pavement for both roads is being protected by those pavers.
Yeah, and I may be missing it here, but I think if I look at this, you're still gonna, if you're removing the pavers and you're gonna put some, stone under there, you're gonna get water coming in, creeping under it anyways from underneath the house. I would think, as I'm looking at this, and I guess the question is, why do they need both sides? It seems like it's more out of convenience versus, on the left side, just they just don't want to drive all the way around, and so they want to maintain it. And if this wasn't approved, I'm just not sure why, why they need to be on both sides, other than, I get one side if you need to have access from to park cars underneath. I mean, I understand that. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I don't understand why they need both other than quick drive-through.
So, I mean, both sides were done. That's how the pavers are physically today. If you were to remove the pavers on, let's say the Rebecca Road side, so that maybe we left the pavers for the driveway through, but removed pavers on the left and the right side of the driveway to Rebecca Road. On the edge of Rebecca Road, now you would have barren soil, or you would have, stones that with every storm event are washing out into the road, and then physically have to get moved back onto the property with every storm event. Or if they're washed out onto the road, they're running over to the catch basin and filling up the drainage infrastructure. It becomes kind of a maintenance issue.
But aren't you going to have that with the stone under the house as well?
So I think with the stone under the house, it's physically under the roof. The majority of it's under the roof of the structure. And I think where you have most of the velocity of floodwater here is physically in the road or in the gutter line of the road where the water runs to get down to the catch basins. So you're not going to have much velocity under the house with floodwaters. The water is largely trapped within the right of way and the roadway itself and along the immediate edges of the right of way. You're not getting a lot of overwash on this site. It's not a velocity zone, and it's not harbor front, nor is it ocean front, being in the inner circle here.
Okay. Thanks for your response. Frank, that's all I have on this.
Okay. Robbie?
Thanks, Frank. It doesn't appear like these pavers are permeable pavers. Is that accurate?
So they're pavers that were set on a permeable base. They were set with, I have it down. It was by a local landscaper that's done a bunch of these in the immediate vicinity. And what do we have? Hold on. I just want to get the spec right on what I was told. There's 6 to 8 inches of 3/4 inch stone, then filter fabric, and then an inch of 3/8 inch pea stone, and then the pavers. In between the pavers, they didn't use polymetric sand. They used rice stone between the pavers. So it is a very pervious surface itself, in my opinion.
So in your opinion, there would be some infiltration through this, an appreciable amount, similar to something that the commission would approve?
Yes, I think you will get infiltration through it. It is a pervious surface. Yeah.
I mean, I think that the protection of the utilities in the public right of way doesn't. I don't know if that is a sufficient reason to keep this in place. That's the town's issue, not the homeowner's issue. So are most of the properties in this area, they appear to be all gravel and not pavers, to me. So I'm concerned about setting a precedent out here. And it's a little surprising that the homeowner came to the commission for the construction of the home. Is that accurate?
That is correct. They came for construction of the home. I would add that the immediate abutter, Galligan here, 35 Lighthouse Road, is a paved driveway. The abutters on the opposite side of Lighthouse Road are paved driveways. The abutters on the opposite side of Rebecca Road are paved driveways, or pavers.
Mm-hmm.
So there are lots of hardened surfaces around this area.
Mm-hmm. I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Okay. Penny?
My turn. I take great exception, Greg. I'm sorry to what they've done out here. I don't care if 10 houses in a row have asphalt. They shouldn't have asphalt. They probably did it when we weren't looking. This guy did something when we weren't looking. I just don't agree with it at all. You live on the beach, you live down by the ocean. What's wrong with the sand? I'm really upset about this. The one question though that is driving me nuts looking at this diagram. The red line, is that the property line
Yes, it is.
around? Well, then you can't have pavers out in the public street. In the pavers, the yellow goes beyond on both sides.
Everyone's driveway connects to the public street, whether it's gravel, pavers, concrete, asphalt.
Connects to the street. Greg, on the Rebecca side, look at the size of that. It is.
Penny, I would disagree with you on that one. I mean,
Would ya?
you see people putting aprons out to the road.
Apron, but look at the length of that, Frank.
Well,
It's 20 something feet.
It's hard to determine from looking at the sketch and where the actual the edge of the road. So the layout is what's shown, not the edge of the road. So the layout of the road is shown, and they clearly went out to the edge of the road, which not saying that the rest of this is all good, but everybody that does a driveway or whatever connects to the road. I mean, your own driveway at your house at somewhere, you're paved out to the edge of the road. We don't leave a gap between the road. So I'm not saying other things on an issue, but everybody connects to the road. We don't leave gaps.
Not by that footage on Rebecca Road. That aside, Frank, I don't agree at all with the pavers. They never should have put them down. They all should come up.
Yeah.
I'm dead set against this. I'm so tired of people doing what they want and then come to us. Moving on.
All right, Brendan.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Penny. I'm not considering that, we went through a process to get this built. Whether or not actually I personally think it should have been built or on this lot, this is what someone decided to do. It should be known that they were supposed to come to us about pavers. I haven't really heard an argument on why they should stay. I did hear that they were watching them for some time, right, Greg, and through some storms, but do we have an infiltration rate on these pavers?
On the pavers themselves, no.
Yeah,
I haven't
no.
calculated infiltration rate. Otherwise, I mean, they're a pervious material and they're below the 100-year flood event. I mean, this whole area is underwater during the flooding events.
Okay.
Doesn't matter if it's pervious or not.
Good point. Yeah, that's just where I stand. This is after being on the commission for a little while here, it's getting tiring. And so don't like it. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay. Eric, did I start with you or Roger? I can't remember.
I think you started with me.
Well, have you had a chance to comment on this?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have anybody in the audience on this one?
At the moment, don't see any hands raised.
Okay. We have so many hearings that I lose track of what here. Can you remind us of the house that was there before, Greg? Was it on a foundation? Was it on piers? I think if I remember right, this house was like a prefabricated home that went up on piles. Is
The
what I recall of this house, but I don't remember what was there before. Were there any driveways or was there anything at all there? Was it grass? Do we have any clue what was removed and what was put back?
So I believe the existing house was on the ground, and the property owner is raising his hand. He could probably answer that question a little bit better. I wasn't the original engineer on this. Additionally, I did email, I don't know if you can pull them up, Jen, but I just emailed a couple photographs of the site that might help put a couple of things into perspective as well. But Paul Terrell was just raising his hand if you want to hear from the homeowner.
Okay, yes, and I did unmute him, and I will work on these photos.
Hey, thanks, Jen. So it's a couple of things. I'll answer Frank's question. And, again, as I've said to Jen repeatedly, this was not done in the darkness of night. It was done as a landscaping thing. It's unfortunate. And we are very also upset that we have to be here talking to you about this as well. So I don't want you to think we are trying to do something. It's right in the middle of the street. We can't hide anything, trust me. But in any event, notwithstanding that, your question, Frank, it was probably 4 or 5 feet up. It was not this is a prefab, but the original cottage was the original cottage, right? So it was up a bit, but nowhere near the elevations that we had to put it up when we did this project. So,
But was it on a like block foundation or poured foundation?
so no, it was on it was
Cedar
on,
posts?
No, it was not. Originally it was cedar posts. It got raised and became concrete posts, right? When Michael Ball raised it, that it was.
Okay.
And so that all it came down when we raised this second or third time. So
Got it. All right, so it was not on a foundation, it was on piers or
yeah.
whatever. Okay. And Jen, the photos you're showing now, is that existing?
Yes.
Okay,
The
so
photos
there's
that are, yeah.
so was that curb added that goes around the circle? Did the cobble was that there before or did you add the cobble?
So the photograph on the right shows the cobblestones that were added as part of the
Okay.
land, as part of the project, and the grass that was put behind it. You'll see in front of those cobbles, there was already a concrete curb there.
Right.
That concrete curb directed water around the corner to the catch basin that you see in the left photograph, which is, you can see it here too. But that curb essentially became non-effective because the road keeps getting raised. Every time it gets paved, it loses 2 inches of height. And so that curbstone wasn't effective directing stormwater to that catch basin. So these cobblestones do provide a purpose. They retain the stormwater in the street and create a gutter that gets the water to the catch basin.
Okay. Do we have any other photos around the side or anything?
There should be another one that looks down Lighthouse Road here. You also see in this left photograph the street sweeper coming along and removing all the sediment. This is, when I look at this site, I think, this is a coastal, a barrier beach. It's supposed to provide sediment to a down gradient resource. It's exactly the opposite of what this whole point does. When I think about it in the big picture, we're building seawalls along the ocean to prevent the water from coming landward. We're physically dredging the harbor and removing sediment that moves landward. And we have street sweepers coming out and not taking the sediment and putting it back on the coastal dune. They're removing it from the site in the region entirely. This is not a pristine coastal bank. This is not a pristine coastal dune or a barrier beach that's functioning in any way. It's an altered resource. As far as flood prevention, the whole area is underwater. We know that during one of these blizzard events. The whole area out there, whether it's pavers or stone, is going to be underwater. There should be another photograph, Jen,
Yep,
of
yep.
Lighthouse Road. Yep.
I got too many things open and I don't know what screen I'm showing right now. All right, Lighthouse Road, this one, here it is.
What, either Greg or Mr. Terrell, what was the accommodations for parking prior to this project?
I'm working on it. Hold on, I'm going to unmute Paul,
Oh,
but
that-
I think it was just like you could kind of pull off the road a
Yeah,
bit,
so
front to the
let me
side.
explain. I don't want to, you can see. So on both sides, you could put a car, right? So when we raised it, you could now get two cars under. So now you could have more cars in the property, right? You can see you could put one car where that opening is. And look at how big the openings are, very big for that purpose, right? To sort of keep it very open was the design. And so it was intended to have additional parking as a usage if we could. So.
Okay.
But before, Frank, it didn't because it was low, right? Remember, it was to the ground almost originally, and then it got raised once, raised again.
So the park before the house got raised and rebuilt. Okay.
There you go.
And I think we maybe had some property line issues. So this, although it was placed here, I
Yeah, it came further
think that
out.
yeah.
Okay. So it was sand or gravel.
Yeah, it was mostly sand, gravelly stuff.
Okay. Um, it's 8:30. We still got a few more things to go. I don't want to kick this can down the road, but I'm wondering if there's anything that we can, any other information. I want to take a ride by there because it's been a while, and I guess I want to look at the filing that came before us. I know that wasn't from you, Greg, but the project before, what we conditioned, did we have anything in the conditions pertaining to that parking or whatever? Can we move this to another time?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's unfortunate it's after the fact, obviously, but no, we'd like to work with the commission and try to come up to a resolve that's a happy medium. So if you want to continue this, we're certainly willing to do so.
It's a discussion anyways. We're not really having a hearing, but I'd like to be a little more informed. I'd like to look at the condition or the project that we conditioned and just see what we allowed or what we said in those conditions. If we could, we can come back to it. If anyone else has any thoughts on that, let me know.
And I'll make sure all of that information goes out to everybody.
I think that would be good if we could share that with all the commission members.
Okay.
All right. Well, not to belabor this, but we got a couple other things to do, and it's 8:45. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we jumped ahead, Jen. Wetlands monitoring projects.
Yes, I am. Sorry, I was trying to share a different screen. Yes, so I guess two things. It sounds like maybe in the next month that some of the monitoring over the Sand Hills Marsh and the Chain Ponds that will begin evaluating tidal exchange and tide gate performance through field monitoring, infrastructure assessment, survey activities, and vegetation characteristics. And then Chain Pond, similar, focusing on documenting drainage connectivity and existing conditions associated with the ponds, channels, culverts, and adjacent wetland systems. So hopefully some more information will come out of that. I just so that you know that will be starting hopefully in the next month. They had a couple more details they wanted to figure out about where and how they're going to be placing some of the monitoring equipment.
And this
Over,
is with CEI, right?
correct. Yes, with CEI. And, well, I guess I should just keep to the screen for the moment. Over on Kent Street, I did have a question about there's a tide gate there for the salt marsh that goes under the road, and it has been a while ago was blocked. And they want to remove what's blocking it to allow that the flow to continue. And if I can, you can just keep me posted what you're
This is
seeing on my
from
screen.
from the marsh between Kent Street and Peggotty Beach. And this is
Yes.
the marsh that sometimes they use for skating on the inside.
That's what I'm told.
Okay.
And I don't know. Hold on. I was hoping I could scroll down, but maybe I can't.
It used to be a bog, Frank, and it was used for ice skating every year.
So when you say they, is this the DPW, Jen?
Actually, it was same company, CEI, has been working on maintaining tide gates throughout the state.
Yeah.
And so this was one that I guess was on a list, and when they checked it out, they saw that it was blocked, and it isn't just they can't just lift out what's blocking it. It's jammed in there.
Right.
And
So is that something that they would come to us in a filing, or how would that be addressed?
Well, one request was possibly it could be an RDA, just for a chance to sort of discuss it a bit more. I hopefully you're seeing the screen where it's the culvert's semi-blocked. So it's not just removing this piece. I think they want to kind of fill in these slats here, so it's a little bit more complicated to try to block.
Well, if they can make it function better, I don't have a problem with them coming in as an RDA. I mean, they've got an idea of what they want to protect there. Does anybody else have any? I know this is a little disjointed, and we've seen this. Maybe go back to the aerial.
Yeah.
So you're coming out of Scituate Harbor.
Right. Scituate Harbor's up here.
Go past Ridge Hill towards the dump.
Correct. We got Ridge Hill. Yep.
It's right after that.
There's
where the bog
two
was.
homes right here. Yeah.
I would say any improvement they could do to get some water to move back and forth would be a positive. Anybody else?
I just had a question. When you guys said who was, they could block it, or who's block? Is that like a city blocking it at different times, or is it community members who are trying to do something?
I think that beavers and hockey players make the best dam builders.
Yeah.
All right.
I think the neighborhood in the winter might slow that water flow going out of there, Roger.
Okay, that's what you guys mentioned, that they can block it or they blocked it. I just wanted to get a better understanding of who they were, and so forth. So, all right.
But I think it's also the structures have just deteriorated, so they can't open or close. So, during most of the year, the water should be able to flow in both directions. And looks like right now it's not doing a very good job.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I think that it's probably a good thing to reestablish the exchange of water there. And I think having it as an RDA will allow us to at least ask some questions, especially as it relates not just to the unblocking, but the condition of the existing culvert, and if there are any other obstructions potentially in that stretch between the upstream weir and the Peggotty Beach side of the driftway. So I'm I'm basically saying I'm in favor of it being RDA.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I want to ice skate.
Okay. You can sneak in. Open space, I don't have anything this evening.
I do. I have
Firework.
wonderful news, Frank.
Okay.
2020 was COVID, right?
Uh-huh.
The 9 property CR went to the state. Guess what came back Friday?
What's that?
The CR for the 9 properties, the super CR. It will be
Wow.
ready for us to sign probably within the week or two at the most. Scott and I just have to go over a few things.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, it's 2026. Was COVID
Yeah.
2020?
Well, they were jammed up for a little while, Penny.
Oh, please.
Yeah, that's
Jammed
wonderful.
up.
Thanks for your persistence.
Yeah, and so the rest should flow from here.
So just
But
for the
oh,
other commission members, just when properties purchased with community preservation funds, they also get a conservation restriction. And then the person that oversees that restriction, we selected the Wildlands Trust. And all these years have gone by without the state approving these conservation restrictions. So now with those all approved, they're official. And it really hopefully holds that land in perpetuity as open space.
well, that's what the CRs say.
Right.
And this was a big one. We had
Yep.
9 different properties, and the other one's a singular one. So, and plus, to be honest with you, we can finally pay Wildlands Trust because I feel awful that money's been sitting there for all these years for them.
Right.
So, all good, all good.
Thank
Other
you.
than that,
Thanks for that update, Penny.
yeah, I'm just so excited.
Thank you. Request for certificates of compliance.
Yes, 12 Carnsley Lane. The work was never done, so but she wants to close out the orders. They had been recorded. And then 8 Three Ring Road was septic repair. That work has been completed.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on those? Looks good to me. All right, we did, we'll kick the can down the road on the enforcement minutes. Penny? Did you want to make a motion to approve those minutes?
I had to unmute myself. I get all confused, Frank. I make a motion that we accept the minutes of 7:20 as written.
That's a motion by Penny, a second from anybody?
Second from Eric.
Eric, all in favor? Brendan
Yes.
and Roger?
I think that was the one I missed, so I think I can abstain.
Okay, Robbie?
Yes, I think I was there.
And Frank, yes, I hope I was there, at least in body. Okay.
The Scituate Brook.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Are we
jumped
gonna-
over that one.
Yeah, we're gonna touch on that.
I don't have any updates. I just want to keep it on the list. I have a feeling Conway School's going to probably want an answer. So if I don't have
We
anything
gotta-
new to
Eric,
offer,
maybe a couple of us could look at this. Jen got some good information from both the Conway School and
Woods Hole.
Woods Hole, and it may be a combined effort, but we should really try to work at pulling that together so we could get those folks going.
I mean, the proposal and scope of work that was outlined in the recently sent document for the Conway School to put together as it related to that whole sort of I won't call it a watershed, but that area within Scituate Brook and what they would be doing in terms of analysis of the floodgates and some of the existing infrastructure and water quality, I think looked really good. But yes, I'd be happy to continue to dive into some of that material too.
Maybe we could look at it to just see how the two of them like pick the scopes from both places and figure out just how they're going to work. I like the combination. And Jen seems to have gotten good feedback on that. If we could just kind of formalize that, maybe we could pull the trigger or put it to a vote from the commission so we have the funds. We just need to agree on what we want them to do. We'll try to get that. Jen and Josh have been putting that together. Appreciate it.
Okay, time to go home, Frank.
I think so. Anybody
I'm
else?
exhausted.
Anybody else have anything for this evening? Okay.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Take a second on that one.
A second that for Brendan.
Brennan, all in favor? Eric?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
Frank? Yes. Thank you all for the diligence this evening.
Such fun. Good
Have
night.
a good night.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Yes.